Something strange was happening. Her dog, normally so calm, started acting mysteriously. Not knowing what to expect, she decided to follow him, and what he led her to discover changed her life forever. What was this faithful companion hiding? Get ready for a story full of mysteries and surprising revelations. It was a quiet morning in Oakwood, Massachusetts. The sun filtered through the leaves of the trees surrounding Lily's small house. The fresh scent of freshly cut grass mingled with the perfume of the flowers that were beginning to bloom in the garden. Maxine, her golden retriever, was restless, growling at the front door, as if he sensed something Lily couldn't understand. Lily watched Max carefully.
He used to be playful and loyal, but today he seemed anxious, as if something was calling him. She stood up, feeling a mixture of curiosity and concern. "What is it, Max?" she asked, trying to calm him down. He's full of an intensity that made her feel that he knew more than he let on. Determined to find out what was going on, Lily put a leash on Max and opened the door.
As soon as they stepped outside, he ran towards the forest that bordered their house. The forest was a familiar place, but also a mysterious one. The tall, ancient trees seemed to whisper secrets to the wind, and an air of expectation hung in the air. Lily followed Max, feeling the dry leaves crunch under her feet. With every step, her heart beat faster, not only from excitement, but also from apprehension. The path became increasingly narrow and covered in shadows, and the sunlight seemed to fade as they moved further away from the familiar world. "Come on, Max," urged Lily, trying to keep her voice steady. Max stopped in a small clearing, looking back, as if waiting for her to follow. The forest seemed alive, pulsing with an almost palpable energy. Lily hesitated for a moment, but her determination to find out what Max was looking for overcame her fear. As they walked deeper into the forest, the atmosphere changed. The birdsong was replaced by a deep silence, and the sunlight filtered in soft beams through the dense foliage. Lily felt an inexplicable connection with the place, as if something was calling her. It was as if the forest had a story to tell, and she was about to find out. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Max stopped in front of a cave entrance, hidden by moss and shadows. The entrance seemed magical, almost like a passage to another world. Lily looked at Max, who was on alert, as if he knew they were about to cross an important threshold. "You've found something, haven't you, kid?" said Lily, admiring the cave. She hesitated, but curiosity overwhelmed her. With one last look at Max, she approached the entrance, her heart racing with anticipation of the unknown. What could be inside that cave? What was Max trying to show her? With a deep sigh, Lily took the first step into the cave, feeling the temperature drop slightly. Darkness enveloped her, but Max was by her side, his golden fur contrasting with the surrounding shadows. Daylight seemed far away, but the promise of a new discovery encouraged her to continue. As soon as Lily entered the cave, darkness enveloped her like a cloak. The natural light was quickly replaced by a gloom that danced on the damp walls. With every step, the feeling that something ancient and powerful was watching her grew. Max, beside her, seemed calmer, as if he were at home in this place. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, Lily began to make out outlines of objects around her. The cave was more than just a simple cavity in the rock. It was a shrine of forgotten artifacts, each with a story to tell. She saw worn statuettes, stone tools, and, in a dust-covered corner, a shiny medallion that attracted her attention. "Max, look at this," she exclaimed, kneeling down to pick it up. It was made of old but still shiny metal and had intricate inscriptions engraved on its surface. Lily turned the locket over in her fingers, trying to decipher the words, but there was no familiarity in the symbols. It was as if it belonged to a world she had never known. As she examined the medallion, a soft light illuminated the back of the cave, drawing her attention. Lily stood up, taking Max with her, and followed the light to a large carved stone. It was a slab of rock with inscriptions similar to those on the medallion. Her heart racing, she approached it, feeling that she was about to discover something profound about her lineage. As she touched the stone, a wave of energy ran through her body. The words, that now clearer, seemed to tell the story of a curse that hung over her family. "Those who seek the truth must face the fears of the past," the message read. The legacy of an unknown ancestor was implicit, and a mystery was unfolding before her. Max growled softly, as if realizing the gravity of the situation. Lily looked at her faithful friend, feeling an even stronger connection. "What do you think that means, Max?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. The dog just looked at her, but his eyes seemed to understand more than words could express. At that moment, Lily realized that her life was about to change. The cave wasn't just a haven for ancient secrets. It was an invitation to explore her past and understand a part of herself that had always been hidden. With the locket in her hand and the words engraved on the stone echoing in her mind, she decided that she needed to find out the truth about her family and the legacy they had left her. With Max by her side, Lily began to plan her next step. The cave had revealed a connection to her ancestry, and she was determined to unearth what the past held. What else could be hidden in the pages of family history? Back in Oakwood, Lily sat at her desk, the locket now resting beside her. The soft afternoon light illuminated her room, but her mind was immersed in her discoveries in the cave. What more could he learn about his lineage? The message carved into the stone echoed in her mind, challenging her to seek out more information about her family. Determined, Lily began searching online. The words curse and legacy hovered on the pages she opened, but it was the medallion that made her feel a deeper connection. She needed to understand where she came from and what had happened to her ancestors. The search for answers became an uncontrollable impulse. However, while browsing websites and forums, something led her to a local library, famous for its historical archives. With her heart racing, she headed there, eager to sift through information about her family. The air was full of history and mystery, and the library felt like a temple of knowledge. Lily asked a librarian for help, who directed her to look in the Immigration Records archive. While leafing through yellowed documents, a certain page caught her eye. It was an old diary belonging to her great-grandmother. Her heart raced. The diary could contain the answers she was looking for. With trembling hands, she began to read. The words were written in careful handwriting, depicting her great-grandmother's life during the Great Depression. It described challenges, struggle, and resilience in a world that seemed to be falling apart. Lily felt a wave of admiration for this woman who had faced so much adversity, and as she read, a deep connection formed between them. But as the pages progressed, the story also became darker. Mentions of a family secret and the need to protect the bloodline from society's negative reactions appeared between the lines. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. Her mother had never talked about the past, and now she was beginning to understand why. Thoughtfully, Lily closed the diary and allowed herself to reflect. The weight of the past seemed more present than ever, and the troubled relationship with her mother was on her mind. Why had she never shared these stories? Her great-grandmother's story was a vital part of her family's identity, and now Lily was determined to find out the truth. She decided that she needed to talk to her mother about what she had found. Anticipation and fear intertwined in her heart. What would her mother say? She was ready to face the resistance she might encounter. With Max by her side, she prepared herself for what was to come. Knowing that the search for the truth could change everything, the atmosphere in Lily's house was tense. After a day full of discoveries, she felt it was time to confront her mother about what she had learned. The idea of opening this Pandora's box made her nervous, but curiosity beat inside her like a drum. With her great-grandmother's diary and the locket in her backpack, Lily was determined to find answers. When her mother came home from work, Lily was sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes fixed on the door, waiting for the right moment to start the conversation. The afternoon light filtered through the window and the smell of dinner wafted through the room. Max, lying next to Lily, seemed to sense the tension, raising his head and looking at her with concern. "Mom, can we talk?" asked Lily when she saw her mother enter the kitchen. The woman, a strong and determined figure, looked at her daughter, noticing the seriousness on her face. "Of course, dear. What's going on?" Her mother sat down, but the expression on her face showed that she was wary. Lily knew this wouldn't be an easy conversation. "I found something important about our family," Lily began, hesitantly. She pulled the diary out of her pocket and placed it on the table, opening one of the pages that talked about her great-grandmother's struggle. "Look, this is from my great-grandmother's diary. She went through a lot, and it seems there were secrets that were never shared." Lily's mother frowned, pulling back slightly. Lily, you know that the past can be painful. Some things are better left forgotten. But why? Lily exclaimed, feeling her frustration grow. I need to understand. What happened to our family? What are you afraid I'll find out? The conversation quickly escalated, and the tension in the room grew. Her mother, who had always been protective, now seemed to be closing in on herself, resisting her daughter's curiosity. It's not about fear. It's about protection. Some truths can hurt more than they help. You need to let it go. Lily felt a wave of sadness. But that's part of who we are. The medallion I found in the cave, it belongs to our family. There's a curse mentioned in the diary, and I can't ignore it. A curse? Mother's voice trembled, and her gaze shifted. It was clear that the subject was touching on old wounds. You don't know what you're talking about. These stories can ruin lives. But I want to know the truth. I can't stay in the dark forever. Max took me to the cave for a reason, and now I feel that something bigger is going on. The passion in Lily's voice was palpable, and Max, who had been listening intently, stood up and approached Lily, as if he were there to support her. Lily's mother sighed, looking tired. Lily, I just don't want you to get hurt. Our family's past is complicated, and there are things you wouldn't understand. Then explain it to me. Please, Lily begged, her eyes full of determination. I don't want you to hide it from me. Our family history is important, and I need to know who we are. There was a heavy silence in the kitchen. The tension between mother and daughter was almost palpable, as if a storm was about to brew. Finally, Lily's mother looked into her daughter's eyes, and something changed. She seemed more vulnerable, as if the barriers she had built up were beginning to crumble. Okay, her mother said at last. If you really want to know, then I'll tell you, but you must be prepared for what comes next. Her voice was softer, but there was still an underlying firmness. Lily nodded, feeling her heart racing. I'm ready. Her mother took a deep breath, looking at the floor for a moment, as if seeking the strength to open up the secrets she had kept for so long. Our family has a legacy of challenges and difficult choices. What you read in the diary is only part of it. The truth is that many of us have faced oppression, and the story you discover may not be the one you expect. Lily felt a chill in her stomach, but also a surge of hope. So, are you going to tell me everything? About the curse and the ancestor I mentioned? Yes, replied her mother, her voice trembling. The curse is real, and it relates to choices made in the past that still echo in our present. But you have to understand that it doesn't define who we are. We are more than our mistakes. With that, Lily's mother began to share stories that seemed straight out of a fairy tale, but were actually full of pain and redemption. As she listened, Lily felt her heart open, and her mother's words began to transform fear into understanding. The conversation was just beginning, and Lily knew she was about to embark on a journey that would change everything. With Max by her side, she was ready to explore the truths her family had hidden for so long. After the intense conversation with her mother, the following days were filled with a mixture of emotions. Lily felt she had taken an important step towards the truth about her family, but the revelations also weighed heavily on her heart. The open dialogue with her mother, although difficult, had begun to undo the knots that existed between them, and this made her hopeful. Max, always by her side, seemed to sense the transformation taking place inside Lily. The dog accompanied her at all times, from her walks in the city to the hours she spent at home, immersed in research. She spent hours exploring her great-grandmother's diary, looking for clues about the curse and the ancestor who had been mentioned. One afternoon, while going through her notes, something caught her eye. One name, which had been mentioned in a passage, resonated in her mind. A woman named Helena, who had faced unparalleled adversity during the Great Depression. Her courage was palpable in the words written, and Lily felt she needed to know more. Determined to find out more about Helena, Lily decided to visit the library again, but this time with a specific focus. When she arrived, she headed straight for the historical archives section, where she hoped to find more information about her great-grandmother. As she searched through documents and records, she felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. After a few hours of research, Lily found an old newspaper article that talked about a community event in which Helena had taken part. The account described how she had organized a women's group to help families affected by the economic crisis. The words were full of admiration, highlighting Helena's strength and determination in difficult times. Lily was fascinated. This woman was not just a distant ancestor, she was a heroine in her own story. Feeling inspired, Lily decided that she wanted to pay tribute to Helena's strength in some way. The idea of creating a project in the community came to her, something that would celebrate her family's resilience and the history of immigrants in Oakwood. With the help of Max, who accompanied her on her walks around the town, Lily began to explore historical sites and connect with members of the community. She discovered a local group that preserved immigrant history, and by joining them, found a space where she could share the stories of her family and others who had experienced hardship. With each meeting, Lily felt more confident. Telling about Helena and her struggle, she realized that she was not alone. Other immigrants also had stories of struggle and overcoming, and together, their narratives intertwined into a rich tapestry of experiences. It was as if the forest, which had once seemed a mysterious place, was now full of life and connection. But even with the new friendships and the sense of belonging, the weight of the past still hung over Lily. She remembered her mother's words about the curse and felt a deep need to understand how it affected her own life. With this in mind, she decided that she needed to confront this part of the story. One night, while Max slept beside her, Lily sat up in bed and revisited the diary. Her great-grandmother's words were etched in her mind, and she began to write down her own reflections. Writing became a form of therapy for her, a way to process her emotions and connect even more with her roots. "How can I break this curse?" she asked herself as she wrote. The words flowed, and Lily realized that the answer might lie in accepting and honoring the past, rather than running away from it. It was necessary to face the fears, insecurities, and truths that had been hidden. With a new sense of purpose, Lily decided that she would organize an exhibition at the local library, where she could share Helena's story and her family's journey. She wanted the community to know about her ancestors' courage and how it intertwined with the stories of other immigrants who also faced challenges. Over the next few weeks, Lily worked hard on the exhibition, collecting photos, documents, and stories from people in the community. Max was always by her side, like a faithful companion, offering comfort and support every step of the way. With each new discovery, she felt more connected to her ancestry and more confident in her identity. Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived. Lily felt a mix of nervousness and excitement as she prepared the space. With the help of friends from the community, the room was decorated with old photos, artifacts, and panels that told the story of Helena and her family. Max, as always, was there, attracting smiles and attention from visitors. When the doors opened, Lily was amazed to see how many people had come to see the event. She was nervous, but determined to share her great-grandmother's story and the importance of acknowledging the past. Max's presence by her side helped her stay calm. As people explored the exhibition, Lily realized that what she was doing was more than just presenting a story. It was a way of bringing the community together, of celebrating everyone's struggles and achievements. The curse that once seemed like a burden was now transformed into an opportunity for empowerment and connection. With that, Lily was ready to take the next step in her journey of self-discovery. Knowing that whatever the future held, she was now stronger and more connected to her roots than ever. The exhibition about her great-grandmother's story was a success, and Lily felt fulfilled to see the community coming together around the memories and struggles of her ancestors. The event brought to light stories that many people had never shared, and this filled Lily's heart with hope. However, this sense of achievement didn't last long. The tension at home still hung over her, and her relationship with her mother remained a minefield of emotions. After the exhibition, Lily was eager to share the experience with her mother. She believed that this victory could help heal the wounds of the past, but her mother seemed distant, still struggling with the ghosts that haunted her. When Lily arrived home, she found her sitting at the kitchen table, with a worried look on her face that sent a chill down her spine. "Mom, you won't believe how amazing it was. People were so interested in the stories, and I feel like we're finally connecting our family with the community," Lily began, but her mother didn't seem so enthusiastic. "That's great, Lily. I'm glad you got what you wanted," her mother replied. But the coldness in her voice was unmistakable. "I just hope you haven't put our family in an awkward situation." "Awkward?" Lily repeated, feeling her frustration grow. "I'm not embarrassing our family. I'm celebrating what we've been through. Our great-grandmother's story must be told." There are things you don't understand, Lily, said her mother, her voice shaking. We live in a society that is not kind to those who have a past like ours. The truth can be painful and dangerous, but we have to face it. We can't live in fear of what others think, Lily exclaimed, overflowing with emotion. The curse is not only a burden, but also an opportunity for liberation. We need to break the cycle. The tension in the kitchen increased, and the silence that followed was heavy. Lily felt her heart squeeze. She wanted her mother to see how liberating the truth could be, but it seemed that her words weren't reaching her. Fear and denial kept her trapped. I can't support this, Lily. I don't want you to hurt yourself by bringing up things that were buried. I don't want you to face the same suffering I did, her mother said, her voice now almost pleading. Lily felt hurt, but she also understood that her mother's pain was deep. I'm trying to understand, Mom. I want us to be able to talk about this. We need to come together and face our past together. The conversation ended without a resolution, but Lily was more determined than ever. With each passing day, she felt more connected to her ancestry and more aware of the injustices her family had faced. It was time to act. Over the next few days, as she continued to work on her research, Lily decided that she couldn't let her mother's fear stop her from seeking the truth. She searched for more information about the curse and how it had affected her family over the generations. On one of her visits to the library, Lily found a book that mentioned a series of tragic events that had occurred in the family over the years. Each generation seemed to have faced challenges that were somehow linked to Helena's story. It intrigued her and worried her at the same time. One evening, while going through her notes, Lily made an alarming discovery. Among the stories of loss and struggle, she found a reference to a specific event that had happened decades ago, a tragedy involving her great-grandmother and the community. The word sent a chill down her spine. Something much bigger was at stake. The curse was not just a matter of personal pain, but something that had affected the entire community. Lily knew she needed to talk to her mother again, but this time she was more prepared. She wanted her mother to understand that the truth was not an enemy, but an ally. Helena's courage could inspire them to face their own insecurities. That night, while Max rested at the foot of the bed, Lily decided that instead of just talking, she would bring concrete evidence to the conversation. She devised a plan to show her mother that confronting the past was essential for healing and reconciliation. The next morning, with renewed determination, Lily organized her findings into a presentation. She wanted her mother to see that by facing the challenges of the past, they could free themselves from the chains that bound them. The curse could be broken, and her family's story could become a legacy of strength instead of pain. When her mother arrived home, Lily found her in the living room, deep in thought. Her heart racing, she approached her. Mom, I'd like to talk to you one more time. I found some things that might help us understand. Her mother looked at her and, for the first time, there was a spark of curiosity in her eyes. What have you found, Lily? Come with me. I want to show you something. And with Max by her side, Lily led her mother to the table, where she had prepared everything. The conversation was about to intensify, and the outcome they so desperately needed was within reach. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a new expectation in the air. Lily sat at the living room table, with documents and photos spread out before her. Max, always present, lay down next to her, as if he sensed the importance of the moment. Her mother, still hesitant, looked at the table with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. The atmosphere carried a palpable emotional weight, but Lily was determined to transform this tension into understanding. Mom, I want you to see this, Lily began, her voice firm but soft. I've found records that show how our family's legacy is intertwined with the history of the community. It's not just about us. It's about what everyone faced. Her mother frowned, but nodded, allowing Lily to continue. The first thing Lily presented was an old newspaper article that talked about her great-grandmother Helena's participation in an organization that helped families during the Great Depression. The words were full of admiration, describing how Helena had become a leader in difficult times. She wasn't just a victim of circumstances, she was a fighter, a mother. She brought people together and brought hope when all seemed lost. Lily explained excitedly. That's something to be proud of. Lily saw her mother's eyes soften a little, but the resistance was still there. I know she was brave, but you don't understand how much it can hurt. Talking about these things can bring up what we try to forget. Lily took a deep breath, knowing that this was a valuable opportunity. Yes, it's painful, but it's also liberating. If we don't talk about the past, how can we move forward? What I've found is a pattern of overcoming, and that can help us. We don't have to carry this weight alone. With that, Lily moved on to the next part of the presentation, revealing her great-grandmother's diary. "Read this," she said, handing the notebook to her mother. "These are her words. Through them, you'll see the strength she had, even in the face of adversity." Her mother hesitated for a moment, but accepted the diary, opening it carefully. As she read, silence settled over the room. Lily watched, her heart beating faster. She knew that the transformation her mother needed could be hidden in the pages. She wrote about losing friends, about the despair of the time, but also about the hope she found in the little things. She never gave up, even when everything seemed against her, Lily continued, as her mother read in silence. "That's the legacy we need to honor, not fear." After a few minutes, her mother closed the diary with a deep sigh. She really was an impressive woman, she admitted, emotion beginning to show in her voice. I just wanted to protect her from all this. The past is complicated, and the wounds are still open. And that's why we need to talk about it," said Lily, encouragingly. "We can't let the fear of reliving the pain stop us from honoring who we are. Helena faced challenges, and that made her strong. We can learn from her and come together instead of tearing each other apart because of fears." Finally, Lily's mother began to open up. "I didn't know how you would react. I always thought that if you didn't talk about the past, we could move on. But you're right. Our family story needs to be told." "Then let's tell it together," Lily exclaimed, excitement growing inside her. "We can create an event at the library, a continuation of the exhibition. Invite the community to hear about Helena and how her courage has shaped our family. It's time to celebrate, not hide." Lily's mother looked into her daughter's eyes, and for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope. "Do you really believe that this will help heal the wounds?" "Yes, I do. Through pain, we can find strength. Together, we can break the curse and turn history into a legacy of love and resilience." With a new sense of purpose, the two began planning the event, discussing how they could share not only Helena's story, but also the experiences of other members of the community. Max, who seemed to sense the change in mood, stood up and began to walk around them, as if excited by the new direction the conversation had taken. The following weeks were intense, but full of enthusiasm. Mother and daughter worked side by side, organizing the event, collecting stories and inviting the town's residents to share their experiences. Lily felt she was creating something bigger than just a presentation. It was an opportunity to form bonds and build a stronger community. The date of the event finally arrived, and the library was packed with people. Lily, with Max by her side, felt nervous, but also excited. There was an energy in the air that made her believe they were about to do something really meaningful. When Lily's mother took the stage to open the event, her eyes shone with emotion. "Today, we are here to honor the history of our family and all those who came before us. Instead of hiding the past, we choose to celebrate it. Through the stories we share, we find strength and connection." Lily felt a warmth in her heart when she heard her mother's words. They were together, united not only by history, but by the determination to face any challenge that came their way. And beside them, Max looked on, as always, a symbol of the loyalty that had united the family in times of uncertainty. The event began, and the stories began to flow. Each account was proof that, despite the difficulties, there was always a glimmer of hope. People connected, and Lily knew they were walking the path to healing. The curse that once seemed like a burden was now turning into a legacy of love, showing us that facing the past could, in fact, free them and unite them. The event at the library was a milestone not only for Lily and her mother, but for the entire Oakwood community. The stories shared resonated off the walls of the library, creating an atmosphere of empathy and understanding. As people connected, Lily felt the curse that had hung over her family begin to dissipate, giving way to a new legacy. After the opening, Lily watched her mother talking to some of the visitors, listening attentively to the stories of other families. She realized that the resistance her mother had previously shown was turning into a genuine willingness to open up to the past. The event was doing more than just telling stories. It was creating new bonds and strengthening existing ones. As she walked among the groups of people, Lily met an elderly woman who approached with a warm smile. "You must be Helena's granddaughter," she said, and Lily's heart raced when she heard her great-grandmother's name. "I knew your grandmother. She was an extraordinary woman." "You knew her?" asked Lily, thrilled. "Can you tell me more about her?" The woman nodded, her eyes sparkling with memories. "Helena was a leader in our community. She organized support groups for women, helped feed the needy, and always had a smile on her face, even in the worst of times. She had a strength that inspired everyone around her." Lily listened intently, absorbing every word. The connection with her great-grandmother was becoming more real with each story shared. "This is incredible. I'm trying to rescue her story and honor her through what we do here," said Lily, gesturing to her surroundings. "And you're doing a wonderful job," the woman replied, putting her hand on Lily's shoulder. "Helena's courage lives in you. Don't be afraid to continue this journey. Your family's story is a source of inspiration for us all." As the conversation continued, Lily realized that the woman wasn't the only one sharing stories about her great-grandmother. Other members of the community began to join in, sharing their own memories and experiences. What began as an event to honor the past turned into a space for reconnection, where people bonded through pain and overcoming. Lily felt a warmth in her chest as she saw the new bonds being formed. She was beginning to understand that although the past had its shadows, it was also full of light and hope. The stories of courage and resilience were uniting the community in ways she had never imagined. As the event drew to a close, people began to disperse, but the positive energy still vibrated in the air. Lily and her mother were exhausted, but there was a sparkle in both their eyes. Together, they had created something significant, and the weight that had once separated them was now transformed into strength. "I'm so proud of you, Lily," said her mother, wrapping her daughter in a tight hug. "You brought our story back to life and united our community." "But I couldn't have done it without you," Lily replied, feeling the emotion overflow. "Your courage to open up and share your own experiences is what really made the difference." The conversation between mother and daughter flowed naturally, and for a moment, everything seemed perfect. The barriers that had existed between them were crumbling, and the connection they were forming became deeper every day. Over the next few days, Lily continued to receive messages of thanks from the community, and she realized that she was on a new path of self-discovery. Through every story shared, every connection made, she was building a bridge between the past and the present. Inspired by the stories of courage and overcoming, Lily decided she wouldn't stop there. She wanted to create an ongoing project that would celebrate the history of immigrants in Oakwood, a space where everyone's voices could be heard and experiences shared. With the help of her mother and the community, she began planning a series of monthly meetings that would allow people to tell their stories and connect. Max continued to be her faithful companion, always by her side during meetings and activities. He seemed to sense the joy in the interactions and, on several occasions, approached people as if he wanted to be part of that special moment. As Lily worked on the new project, her relationship with her mother grew stronger. They began to explore their family history together, visiting significant places and talking about their experiences. The pain of the past was still there, but now it was accompanied by a sense of hope and healing. One afternoon, while they were organizing the materials for the next meeting, her mother said, "I'm glad we broke down these barriers. I never thought I'd be able to share my story, but you've shown me that it's important." "I'll always be here to support you," Lily replied, taking her mother's hand. "Together we can face any challenge. We can make a difference." And so, with new bonds being formed and a close-knit community, Lily and her mother were ready for the next stage of their journey. The curse that once seemed insurmountable was now turning into a legacy of love and resilience, and their family story continued to unfold, full of hope and new possibilities. The sun shone brightly over Oakwood as Lily and her mother prepared for yet another community meeting. The energy in the air was palpable, and the anticipation of new stories and connections made the day even more special. With preparations ready, the library space was filled with colorful posters and tables decorated with old photos, ready to welcome the participants. Lily was excited, but also felt a mixture of nervousness and anxiety. The last meeting had been a great success, but she knew that the dynamic with her mother still needed healing. Despite the progress, some wounds from the past were still fresh, and the tension that had existed between them hadn't completely disappeared. As people began to arrive, Lily took courage and sought out her mother. "Mom, can we talk for a moment before we start?" she asked, feeling it was time to open up about her emotions. Lily's mother nodded, and they moved a little away from the group, finding a quieter corner in the library. "What would you like to talk about, dear?" asked her mother with a curious look on her face. "I just want to make sure we're all right. The previous event was amazing, but I feel like there's still something we need to sort out between us," said Lily, sincerity in her voice. Her mother took a deep breath, seeming to ponder her words. "I feel that way too, Lily. What we experienced together, the way we faced the past, was intense. I value what we're building, but sometimes I find myself hesitating. The fear is still there, and I feel like I don't want to hurt you." "I understand, Mom, and I want you to know that I'm not here to judge you. I just want us to be open with each other. I want us to be a team," Lily replied, looking into her mother's eyes. Lily's words seemed to touch her mother deeply. "I want that too. The truth is that the past haunts me sometimes. The pain I felt when I lost my mother and the way she dealt with our family history still affects me. But you've been so brave, and I admire that," her mother said, vulnerability in her voice. Lily felt a warmth in her heart. "We're breaking this cycle, Mom. Together, every time we tell our stories, we're creating a new path. We don't have to carry the weight of the past alone. We can support each other." Mom smiled, and the expression on her face began to change. "You're right, and Helena's courage should inspire us. We need to honor what she did and what our family stands for. Let's free ourselves." With a new understanding, they both hugged, and Lily felt a deep sense of relief. The barriers that had existed seemed to be crumbling, and for the first time in a long time, she felt that they were really connecting. The feeling of reconciliation was powerful, and the unspoken words began to dissipate. As the group began to gather for the meeting, Lily and her mother addressed them with a new sense of purpose. They were ready to share not only the stories of the past, but also the healing journey they had walked together. The event began with an introduction from Lily, who was excited to welcome everyone. "Today, we are here not just to tell stories, but to celebrate the strength of our community. Each of us has a unique story, and together we can create a legacy that honors those who came before us." The energy in the room was contagious. People began to share their stories, and each account was a new piece of the puzzle that made up the community's rich tapestry. Lily realized that each story brought with it pain and happiness, but above all, there was a sense of togetherness. When Lily's mother took the stage, a respectful silence fell. She began to talk about her own experiences and the struggle to confront the past. "I always thought I could protect my family by hiding the truth, but in fact, what I did was create barriers between us," she said, her voice firm but emotional. "Today, I'm here to share the courage of my grandmother, Helena, and how her strength inspired me to open up and embrace our legacy." Her mother's words touched everyone in the room, and many had tears in their eyes. Her vulnerability seemed to create a safe space for others to open up too. The connection between mother and daughter strengthened with every word shared, and Lily felt that they were truly breaking the chains of the past. Over the course of the meeting, more and more people began to open up. Stories of overcoming and resilience flowed, and the atmosphere became increasingly welcoming. Lily saw familiar and unfamiliar faces intertwining in a bond of mutual understanding. Pain was being transformed into strength, and each story seemed to add more color to the tapestry of community. When the event came to an end, the room was filled with laughter and hugs. What had once been a space marked by secrets and fears was now vibrating with the light of hope. Lily and her mother looked at each other and, without needing to say anything, knew that they had achieved something significant. That night, as they walked home, the two of them were closer than ever. The weight of the past had dissipated, and the future looked bright. The journey of reconciliation was not over, but the courage they had found together had created a new beginning. Max, always loyal, ran ahead of them, as if dancing with the joy of the moment. Lily smiled, knowing that the journey had only just begun, but now she and her mother were ready to face it together, side by side, and always with each other's support. Life in Oakwood seemed different now. The community was more united, and Helena's legacy had become a symbol of strength and resilience. The monthly meetings Lily had organized continued to attract people of all ages, and each gathering was a new opportunity to share stories, laughter, and tears. The past, which had once been a burden, was now celebrated as a source of inspiration. One sunny morning, Lily and her mother were preparing for a special event, the celebration of 1 year since the meetings began. They were excited and nervous, as they hoped the occasion would be a true celebration of the journey they had been on together and the strength of the community. Max, ever faithful, was attached to Lily's leash, as if he knew something important was about to happen. "What do you think we should do to make this event even more special?" asked Lily, as they went over the list of planned activities. "Perhaps we could include more stories from people who have taken part throughout the year." "That's a great idea," replied her mother excitedly. "What about ending with a tribute to Helena? We could create a wall where everyone can add their messages and memories." Lily smiled, feeling grateful to have such a creative and involved mother. "Yes, that would be perfect. Then we can show how her courage and determination have touched so many lives." As the day progressed, the library filled with people. The atmosphere was vibrant with laughter and lively conversation. Lily observed her mother interacting with visitors, sharing stories and offering warm hugs. The atmosphere was one of celebration and togetherness, and every face reflected the joy of reconnection. When it was time to officially open the event, Lily took to the stage, her heart pounding. "Welcome, everyone. Today we celebrate a year of stories, resilience, and above all, community. This is a moment to honor not only the courage of our great-grandmother, Helena, but also the strength of each and every one of you." Applause echoed around the room, and Lily felt the positive energy. "This past year we've been supporting each other, and that's an incredible thing. Each of you has brought your struggles and triumphs, and together, we've created a safe space where we can share and learn from each other." Lily paused and looked at the audience. "Today, we want to create a mural that represents the strength of our community. I ask each of you to write a message, a memory, or a thought that represents what Helena and this journey mean to you," she said, gesturing to the mural that had been prepared in a corner of the room. People began to stand up, and the room was soon filled with murmurs of enthusiasm. Lily felt a wave of emotion as she saw everyone heading towards the mural, each holding colored pens and papers. The energy in the room was palpable, and she knew that this moment would become an important part of the community's history. As everyone wrote their messages, Lily decided it was time to share something more personal. "Before we start reading the messages, I want to share a story that is very special to me," she said, capturing everyone's attention. "When I started this journey, I was lost. I didn't understand what the past meant to me and how it affected my life and my relationship with my mother. But along the way, I discovered that I'm not alone. Each of you, with your stories, has helped me find my identity and the strength I never knew I had. Helena's courage is not hers alone. It lives in all of us." People applauded, and Lily felt tears of gratitude well up in her eyes. She was deeply touched by the connection she had formed with the community. The love and support was palpable, and she knew she had created something truly meaningful. As the event went on, Lily and her mother began to read some of the messages that had been written on the mural. Each word was a tribute to Helena's legacy and the collective strength of the community. The stories of overcoming and love intertwined, and the room was filled with laughter and tears. When they reached the end, Lily's mother stood up to share her own words. "The journey we've been on together, Lily, is not just ours. It's the journey of all of us. Through each story told, we find healing and hope. Helena taught us that, even in times of adversity, we can come together and find strength in each other." With that, Lily's mother turned to the mural, where a special message had been left. "And now, I'd like to pay tribute to our great-grandmother, who left us a legacy of courage. Let's light these candles in her memory, and for all those who have faced similar challenges." People joined in, and the room filled with soft light as the candles were lit. The room was filled with a deep sense of gratitude and connection. Lily felt that the curse that once hung over her family had now been transformed into a legacy of love. At the end of the event, as people dispersed, Lily and her mother stood in front of the mural, looking at the messages written so lovingly. "Look at all this, Mom," said Lily, moved. "Every word is proof that we're all connected." Yes, dear, and this is just the beginning. What we've done here today is only part of what we can build together, replied her mother, a smile lighting up her face. Max and Ever-Present ran around them, as if celebrating the new phase of their lives. Lily smiled and stroked the dog's golden fur, feeling grateful for everything they had achieved. The journey that began with a young girl's curiosity in search of her ancestry had now turned into a celebration of love and resilience. Helena's story would live on forever, not just in the pages of the past, but in the memories and hearts of all those who had come together to tell their stories. And so Lily realized that true legacy was not just about facing the past, but about creating a future where courage, empathy, and connection thrived. With this in mind, she was ready to face the world, knowing that she was not alone, and that, together, they could overcome any challenge that life presented them with.